There's a lot of expensive equipment in my camera bag. A camera, sometimes two, lenses, audio gear, video gear. Probably more money than I'd like to admit is in my camera bag. And then there's this, the LaCie Rugged. It might actually be one of the least expensive things in my camera bag, but depending on what's stored inside of it, it could be worth more than everything else combined. When you're starting out, storage is pretty simple and straightforward. You shoot something, you copy the file somewhere, and then you go on to the next thing. But the more you create, the faster that stops working. Photos become raw libraries, small video projects become hundreds of gigabytes, and then you add project files, exports, graphics, music, backups, and suddenly somewhere to find where you can put these files become a part of the workflow. And that's when something like the Rugged makes sense to me. This version gives you 5 terabytes, so it has a lot of room for both photo and video work. So it gives you the opportunity to not delete old project files or raw files just so you can fit the new ones. And it's USB-C, so no need for adapters. Just plug it into your PC or your Mac, transfer your files, and move on. So there's nothing really complicated about it. Which, when you're already thinking about cameras, audio equipment, memory cards, batteries, and everything else on a shoot, is kind of the point. And a field drive has a very different life compared to something that always stays on your desk. It gets thrown into bags, it travels with you, it ends up on locations, it has to endure weather, and occasionally it ends up somewhere where you didn't intend to put it. LaCie rates the Rugged for drops up to 1.2 meters. It's rain resistant and pressure resistant up to 1 ton. And the point I'm making isn't that you should try to destroy it, it's designed around the reality that creators don't always work in the perfect environment. But durability only protects the drive itself. And there's something else that is more important, and that's what's on it. If I drop a camera, I can replace the camera. Or if I bring a second camera, I can just switch it out. If a drive fails, I can just replace the drive. But if the only copy of a shoot disappears, I can't necessarily recreate the shoot. Because that means that I have to book the shoot again, book everyone involved in the shoot again, and make sure that everyone that put the time aside can do it all again just because the drive failed. You can't always ask a client to come back. You can't always find the time to redo a trip. You can't really recreate that one-time moment just because a piece of hardware failed on you. And LaCie figured that out. The Rugged includes LaCie's rescue data recovery services. So if something unexpected does happen, accidental damage, hardware failure, power issues, even user errors, you have access to professional recovery specialists as another option. Hopefully that service you won't need, but that's kind of the point. It's protection beyond the hardware itself. We spend so much time thinking about the tools we use to create something. The cameras, the lenses, the lighting, but eventually what you create becomes more valuable than any of the above. And that's when storage stops being boring. And then the files come home, and that's where the role changes again. In the field, the Rugged is about capture and transport. Back in the studio, those files become the project. They get organized, they get edited, they get exported, they get delivered, and then they get archived. And the more work you make, the more obvious it becomes that a good storage workflow is a part of the creative process. It supports it. Because the goal isn't to spend your day thinking about storage. The goal is to know where everything is and trust that it's there and get back to what you were hired or inspired to make. And eventually this starts to change too. Projects get bigger, you keep more of them. Maybe you start working with clients or bigger clients than you're used to. Maybe yesterday's hobby becomes today's business. And at that point, the field workflow needs a permanent home as well. That's where the LaCie D2 Professional fits the story, and you can check out my other video about that one over here. It's built as the desktop side of the workflow, with capacities available up to 30 terabytes for larger libraries, active projects, or long-term archives. The Rugged doesn't become unnecessary when your workflow grows. Its job just becomes clear. The Rugged travels with me wherever I go, and the D2 Professional stays at the studio. Rugged for capture and transport, D2 Professional for the studio, the edit, the archive. When I started with photography and videography, storage was just somewhere where I dumped my files. The more seriously I've taken this work, I've come to realize that it's a part of the creative process as well. Because creating something is just the first step. You have to capture it, protect it, and create with it, and eventually grow with it as a creator. The goal isn't to spend more time thinking about storage. It's actually the opposite. Build a workflow that works for you and that you trust, and then get back to thinking about what you want to create next. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions below regarding the LaCie Rugged or anything else, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you in the next one.